What's up, everybody? It is your boy Baddog back with another New York Giants video. Hey, guys, do me a favor. If you haven't done so, please follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Links are in the description below. You follow me on Instagram and Twitter, I will follow you back. Trying to get to 3,000 followers on Instagram. Really close. So if you guys can follow me on Instagram and Twitter, that would be awesome. You can also subscribe to this channel. Hit that subscribe button. Why the hell not? What do you got to lose? And ring that bell so you don't want to do a Giants video. Go live for a Laker game, Giant game, Yankee game, any of that stuff. And thank you for watching the video. I do appreciate it. Now, I want to talk about Saquon Barkley. Dave Gettleman pretty much came out and said they're not going to guarantee him a fifth-year option, which obviously means that his future with the New York Giants is a question mark. Now, all this could just be lip service. We don't know what Dave Gettleman's really thinking. But let's go over Saquon Barkley, man. Obviously, there are some people that hated the pick and said you don't rebuild with a running back number 2. You don't take a running back number 2 overall. And then you have your Saquon Barkley fans who think that Saquon Barkley is the best thing since sliced bread. You can never give up on Saquon Barkley. He needs to be a lifetime Giant because of his talent. I see the argument for both sides. Saquon Barkley is an incredible talent. We've been a really bad team since we drafted him. So I understand both sides of the argument. Me personally, I love Saquon Barkley. I think Saquon Barkley is an incredible talent, but his injury history is a big problem, and it is a big question mark. It doesn't matter how talented you are if you're sitting on the sideline. That's not going to help anybody within the New York Giants organization or his teammates. It doesn't matter if that talent's not on the field. So Saquon Barkley definitely has to make a concerted effort to get through 2021 completely healthy. Now, his rookie season, he led the NFL in yards from scrimmage. He had over 2,000 yards from scrimmage, a really bad offensive line. He was the one shining light in a really dark tunnel of New York Giants offense, really bad team, and everybody loved Saquon Barkley that year. In 2019, he started off pretty good. He had a couple 100-yard games, I believe, against Dallas and Buffalo, and then against Tampa Bay, he had the high ankle sprain. He missed 3 games after that game. It really wasn't the same for a few games afterwards, especially that Jets game. He had 13 carries for 1 yard, and I was there to see that game, so I know all about that. But I think he came back a little bit too soon. He did end up over 1,000 yards for the year, but most of that was in a game against Washington where he just went absolutely bananas on there and kind of skewed his statistics a little bit. But Saquon Barkley definitely came back a little bit too soon. And then, of course, last year, he got up to a really bad start, and, of course, he tore his ACL in game 2, and he missed the entire season. So you don't know how he's going to come back from that. A lot of players are never the same after a torn ACL unless you're Adrian Peterson. The guy's God, so it really doesn't matter how many times he tears his ACL. He's going to continue to come back and be better than ever. Now, hopefully that's the case with Saquon Barkley. The good news for Saquon Barkley is he's very young still. He's in really good shape. So Saquon Barkley should be able to recover for this and be the player that he once was. At least that's what I'm hoping. But as I've said numbers of times, it doesn't matter how big you are. It doesn't matter how strong you are. It doesn't matter how fast you are. It doesn't matter how in shape you are. Your tendons are your tendons. You can't work out your tendons to make them stronger. Your tendons do nothing but get weaker. Hopefully Saquon Barkley's tendons are just fine, and they'll be what they were. What is he, 24 years old? So they are that of a 24-year-old guy. I'll be perfectly honest. I think Saquon may be a little bit heavy. Saquon Barkley does not run like a 230-pound back anyway. The Saquon Barkley might be better suited to run at 215 pounds. Maybe even be a little bit faster, a little bit shiftier, with a little bit less weight on him. He doesn't need to be all jacked up the way he is. I actually think maybe if he lost 10 to 15 pounds, he'd be a little bit faster and more agile. And it might not be a bad idea for him to take a little bit of pressure off those tendons. And Dave Gettleman says he's not going to sign him to a 5th-year option. Or he's not guaranteeing it, I should say. I think it's lip service. I don't think there's any way feasible that the Giants do not give Saquon Barkley a 5th year. I mean, why wouldn't you give him a 5th-year option? You gave it to Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram stinks, and Evan Ingram has dealt with injuries this whole time. Yeah, Evan Ingram had a 10% drop rate last year, and they're all high on Evan Ingram. Now, of course, they're going to say they're high on Evan Ingram. That doesn't mean that they really are. No coach, no GM, no front office person is ever going to tell you that we've given up on a player stinks. They're always going to say that they believe in a player. We heard Dave Gettleman say we don't give up on talent. Next thing you know, Odell Beckham's out the door. So there is no guarantee that Saquon Barkley is going to be here. Now, of course, I made the video during last season that the Giants should listen to trade offers for Saquon Barkley. And, of course, people killed me for that because how can you say that about Saquon, Baddog? What are you talking about? But obviously, I'm not the only one that thinks that way. It's a major concern. I mean, Saquon Barkley's missed a lot of time, and a torn ACL is a serious injury. But at the same time, there's just no way you don't give him a 5th-year option. It's just over $7 million, I believe. It would make perfect sense to give him a 5th-year option because this way, if he does have a good 2021, you have him for the 5th year and you can work out a long-term deal if you think he's the guy. Or if he's healthy and he struggles a little bit or he's not healthy and you pick up the 5th-year option, then maybe you can explore trading him if that's what you want to do. Or you can wait and see if he has a good 5th year. I really don't think it would make sense for the Giants not to give the guy a fifth-year option. Now, I understand not wanting to extend him or giving him a long-term deal after 2021 or talking about a long-term deal right now with the injury histories that he's had. I completely understand that. But not signing him to a fifth-year deal would make absolutely no sense to me, and I just don't see how that's even possible. They picked up Jabril Peppers' fifth-year deal. They picked up Evan Ingram's fifth-year deal. The Giants don't usually like to give their players these extensions really early. Again, maybe they're working on a deal with Leonard Williams, but they tagged Leonard Williams. I just don't think to let Saquon Barkley walk away after his fourth year. That would make no sense. And they're certainly not going to trade him this year. Unless the Giants, the only way that would happen is if the Giants are really bad, the Giants are falling out of it, they start off 2-6, or whatever it is, they start off 1-7 like they did last year, and Saquon Barkley's having a really good year, and maybe the Giants say, well, you know what? We could get a lot of draft capital for Saquon Barkley. We're not going to give him a fifth-year option because even with him here, he's playing really well and we're still losing. So obviously we need more pieces than Saquon Barkley. That's the only way feasible I see them not giving him a fifth year and moving on from Saquon Barkley. Other than that, it doesn't make any sense to not bring him back for a fifth year. Saquon Barkley needs to come back for a fifth year. There's no doubt about it. But I do understand the skepticism and I do understand the big question mark about his health going forward. I've said this a number of times about a number of people on the New York Giants. Daniel Jones is one. Dave Gettleman is one. Saquon Barkley is one. 2021 is make or break for these guys. Dave Gettleman drafted Saquon Barkley second overall. Obviously, Dave Gettleman has a lot riding on Saquon Barkley. Dave Gettleman has a lot riding on Daniel Jones. And again, Saquon Barkley is coming into the fourth year of his contract here. So his rookie contract is done after 2021. You know what I mean? And Daniel Jones, rookie contract's done after 2022. These guys have got to make a decision on it really quick. The Giants can't screw around with that. And like I said, there's just no way. I can't see the Giants letting Saquon Barkley play out this year and not locking him up for at least a fifth year. I just don't understand why they wouldn't do that. Because if Saquon Barkley does have a really good year, obviously his price is going to increase and you're not going to get him for $7 million in his fifth season. The Giants will have much more cap space next year. So obviously it would make sense to give Saquon Barkley a fifth year. Now, the one thing that worries me about this is, I mentioned it earlier yesterday, and I've mentioned it a bunch of times, that Kenny Golladay is a guy that I want for the New York Giants. I feel like they need a number one receiver for Daniel Jones. I feel like they need a big target, a guy that's 6'4", a guy that's 28 years old, a guy that's had a couple of 1,000-yard seasons, and he had 11 touchdowns a couple of years ago. But obviously he's had some injury issues as well. And if Dave Gettleman is sitting here talking about how we may not extend Saquon Barkley, we're skeptical about giving him a fifth season, there is no way that they're going to give Kenny Golladay $19 million a year for 4 years if they're not going to, or they're questioning Saquon Barkley's fifth year. They're not going to give Golladay that money. So as much as I want Kenny Golladay, if Dave Gettleman's talking like this about Saquon, you can kiss Golladay goodbye. Giants ain't doing that. I can say that right now. The Giants aren't going to do that, and I mentioned this in the Golladay video, so I'm not going to get into it again. But if you're not going to sign Golladay for $19 million a year, I don't want you bringing in another slot receiver here for $12 million a year. We just got rid of Golden Tate for that reason. So I don't want to see that. You either go all in on the receiver, you go all out. You don't go in the middle. You don't bring in another number two. You don't line the field up with number 2 and number 3 receivers. You either get a number 1 receiver in Kenny Golladay, or you forget about it and you get it in the draft. Whether that's Kyle Pitts, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Jamar Chase, Rashad Bateman, whatever you feel is the number 1 receiver, whether that be a wide receiver or tight end, that's what you go with. But again, I've talked about that already. Saquon Barkley, Dave Gettleman says, we're not sure about a fifth-year option. You let me know what you think in the comments section. I know it's not many people are going to say that they wouldn't sign him a fifth-year deal. But let me know what you think, guys. Is it lip service? Dave Gettleman really not going to extend Saquon Barkley? Or is he just saying that and obviously they're going to sign him for the fifth year? It would make all the sense in the world to do that. Anyway, that's all I got on this video, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. It's a Bad Diggity Dizzle, and I'm out. Peace!